Okay, here's our first example. We're wrapping up. We've been working on systems of equations, and we're going to look at some word problems today. Key here is you go through a word problem. Number one, don't be intimidated by it. Look for the numbers in there. Look for key things. Sometimes they'll throw extra stuff at us. Don't worry about it. Let's identify what we really need to know. So let's look at this one. During Fred's morning commute, he averaged a speed of 60 miles per hour. Traffic was messier after work, so for his trip home he averaged 45 miles per hour. His trip home took a third of an hour longer than his morning drive. How far did he travel to get to work in the morning? So a couple things. So number one, what do we want? Well, we want to know a distance. How far was it for Fred to go to work? Well, we can assume in this problem he drove the same distance to get to work as to come home. So let's go ahead and write a little equation. And so in this case, this is a distance equals speed times time equation. Simple relationship. I'm sure you learned a long time ago in one of your classes. Distance equals speed times time. So let's look. So when he's driving to work, what do we know? He averaged 60 miles per hour. We don't know anything about how far it was. We don't know anything about the time. So let's write that equation. So distance equals 60 times time. So this is for his trip to work. Now notice two variables. Well, we're going to have to write two equations. That's why we're doing systems of equations. So let's see what we know when he comes home. So he averaged 45 coming home, and his trip took a third of an hour longer than his morning drive. So let's write an equation for that. Again, I don't know anything about distance, but it's the same distance. That's why I'm using the same variable d. He was going 45 now, but notice his trip took a third of an hour longer. So whatever this time was that it took him to get to work, coming home it was t plus this. So I'm going to write t plus 1/3. And now we've got two equations. We're ready to solve them. So here I notice that these d's are the same, so I'm just going to set these equations equal to each other. That'll basically wipe out my d's. So 60t and now equals this, but I'm going to go ahead and distribute my 45. So 45t plus 45 times a third, or 45 divided by 3, so that would be 15. Let's subtract my 45t over, so 60 minus 45. 15t equals 15. Divide our 15. So t equals 1 hour. But notice I'm not done. They didn't ask me how long the trip took. They asked me how far he traveled to get to work. Well, no problem. Let's just go plug it back into this equation. So d equals 60 times 1, and 60, what units are we in? Miles? Sorry, not miles per hour, it's not a speed. Miles, let me just erase that. So miles is how far he drove to get to work in the morning. Pretty healthy commute there, but we set it up and we marched through it.